Since 2020, northern Benin has suffered an intensification of attacks by extremist groups, targeting rural areas and causing displacement to cities. In April 2025, the country experienced its worst jihadist attack. 54 soldiers were killed in coordinated attacks on the northern border, according to an official report. In addition to insecurity, the region is marked by intercommunal tensions, particularly between farmers and herders. These conflicts threaten social cohesion and have a serious impact on mental health, particularly among women, young people, and marginalized populations, a source of much trauma. In response, the ECOWAS Commission, the Economic Community of West African States, through its Regional Stabilization and Development Fund, in partnership with the German federal government, has implemented a strategic approach aimed at strengthening social cohesion in West Africa and promoting peaceful exchanges between different ethnic groups and communities. This project is called Ecosystem Engagement for Citizen-Led Peace and Social Cohesion, an initiative implemented by GIZ, the German International Development Cooperation Agency, with the support of the NGO Tostan.
Tostan
is an organization based in Africa. Our mission is to strengthen the capacity of communities to develop and realize their vision of the future, and also to support large-scale movements that promote dignity for all. We reinforce our mission through education programs for community capacity building. Our model, the Tostan model, is based on holistic, participatory, and community-led education programs. The choice of Benin came about through a partnership experience we had with the German company GIZ and ECOWAS to implement the Regional Fund for Stabilization and Development for ECOWAS countries. We began in Guinea-Bissau, where we are part of a consortium with several organizations also based in Guinea-Bissau, to strengthen social cohesion.
Pour renforcer la cohésion sociale.
3 regions were targeted for this project: Atakora, Collines, and Donga. Stakeholders in these regions were trained in Tostan non-formal educational model based on human rights to strengthen their autonomy, mental health, and capacity to lead collective actions for peace.
After
several sharing seminars on the Tostan model, we co-created a more advanced phase with our partner in Benin, which focuses on applying our learning in the field. It began with seminars organized by the partners themselves, where they shared the fundamental principles and the key aspects of the model with the organizational and community network. By department, the partner worked together to conduct seminars similar to those held here at the Tostan Training Center in Senegal. After these seminars, the partners also organized community visits, where they simulated sessions similar to those they had seen here at the Tostan Training Center.
Tel qu'ils ont vu ici au centre de formation de Tostan.
More than 460 kilometers from Cotonou, in the Donga department, the city of Djougou is awakening. This is where the NGO Tostan chose to set up camp for a seminar unlike any other. In partnership with GIZ and local stakeholders, the objective is clear: to train, equip, and mobilize communities so that they themselves can become actors in their own social cohesion, mental health, and lasting peace.
I really appreciate this Tostan initiative because it allows us to learn how to integrate a community so we can address development issues. To be honest, it's a truly instructive approach, especially for us community development workers. It will allow us to learn how to integrate a community by contributing something that will move it forward, so that we don't harm the community, so that we can work in harmony, peace, and social cohesion.
To open this meeting, there are no speeches but warrior dances, warriors of peace. Here, each team addressed symbolizes a fight against division, conflict, and exclusion.
Inclusion is simple. It's about ensuring that society adapts to the need of people with specific needs and not the opposite. That is, we build our society and do things while taking their specific needs into account so that their participation doesn't pose a problem. Because the goal is for everyone to participate in community development and well-being. And so when the conditions are created, participation isn't a problem. It's the same for young people. We need to educate, we need to re-educate, we need to continue re-educating.
The work that day began with an introspection of Suru al-Baka, the imaginary name of their ideal community. The participants went from the community's current situation to their future vision, identifying the path and strengths needed to achieve it.
We
did this work as members of the community, and it allowed the participants to assimilate and understand how to enter the village to work in the community. We need to help them realize their visions, their shared goals, and their future objectives by assessing their actual situation and making a projection. It is not about imposing this or that on them. So we followed several steps, and this allowed us to arrive at the vision of their community that they want to have in the future. The various exercises revealed a community that listens and works together with respect. Through words, drawing, and discussions, the participants expressed deep aspirations: access to drinking water, schools for all, freedom of expression, food security, but also an urgent need to feel good about themselves.
This approach
within communities has strengthened relationships. Certainly, there was coexistence. People knew each other, but not very deeply, especially the values that each person espoused, and the values shared by all were not well understood or well known. So through this approach, we help each members of the community learn to better identify with each other in order to live with others, with their peers, especially in our livestock sector, where today there are conflicts between farmers and ranchers. This has helped strengthen the bonds that existed between these farmers and ranchers, especially among women. After the training sessions in Jogo, it was time for community visits. First stop, Tinyunum and the commune of Kapago within the Pole community. In this remote town in the Donga department, everyday concerns mingle with hope for a better future. That day, to the rhythm of drums, a dialogue began.
As a village delegate, I recognize that while some of our young community is present here, the majority was unable to participate in this session. It is therefore my responsibility to provide a faithful and complete account of everything shared today so that those who were not fortunate enough to be here can also benefit from it. I will explain to them that we had a visit from serious committed partners who came to discuss essential topics: social cohesion, mental health, education and inclusion issues that concern us all as a community.
Using images and simple words, the villagers expressed their realities. Schools too far away for children, the need to train women in new professions, the need for a warehouse to store crops, but also their strength, solidarity, fertile land, mutual aid between ethnic groups.
This is the first time I have participated in a session like this, and I must say I learned a tremendous amount. The topics covered were extremely rich. One of the topics that has struck me the most was education. Through this discussion, I understood how much the lack of education has been a real obstacle for our community. Many of our difficulties, such as the lack of infrastructure and the lack of opportunities for our children, are linked to the fact that we haven't had enough access to education. I also realize that our community has strength, local resources and assets, but due to a lack of information, we haven't capitalized on them. We simply didn't know how to leverage them. Today, I understand that this is also what education is all about, knowing how to identify these resources, highlight them, and use them to move an entire community forward. I'm grateful to Tostan for this awareness, and I am committed to passing on what I have learned to others.
The participatory games around human rights inspired reflection. Children, adults, and women all joined in to decode the images. At that precise moment, inclusion became a reality, no longer a word, but a lived experience. Tostan's approach is based on this liberated voice. It is the communities that define their priorities, and in this quest, the voice of women is heard. We originally set up a group led by our organization, but today, with everything I have learned through the various topics covered, I realize that our commitment extends far beyond this group. It now involves the entire community. As the session progressed, I discovered concepts I hadn't previously mastered: inclusion, mental health, education, and public health. Previously, I would stick to the people from my own group. But today, thanks to the discussions on social cohesion and openness, I am part of a collective that brings together people from different communities. This has transformed my way of seeing others, getting involved, and expressing myself. I am deeply grateful to Tostan for what they do for us. Their commitment has a real impact. And I sincerely pray that the Hope Transformation activities continue because they have changed our lives. A few kilometers further, in the commune of Jugu, a new stopover, the village of Koa in the Berienu district. Here too, diversity is a fact. 5 ethnic groups coexist in a respectful manner and their needs overlap. Access to drinking water, electricity, roads, and leisure activities for children. I would first like to sincerely thank Tostan for all the support that has already begun in my community. From the very beginning of the activities, we were encouraged to reflect together on our strengths and weaknesses. We took a frank look at the situation in our village, the problems we face, but also the assets we have. With Tostan's support, we identified the resources we have, but at the same time, we realized that these same elements that should be our strengths are also being improved. They exist, yes, but they don't yet meet the community's needs. What I take away from this activity is that real change begins with ourselves. Here, respect is evident in the expressions. Words are exchanged and commitments are made in front of everyone. The village chief, the women leaders, the youth and imams all call for collective responsibility to uphold rights, encourage education, and preserve peace.
I would like to sincerely thank everyone who came to our village today and who showed genuine interest in our community. We are indeed a community of healers, and it must be said, we want to use the gathering with other members of the community to hold sessions like this. Certainly, there was a certain understanding between us, but it remained superficial. Thanks to the session that Tostan organized at our home, I understood that social cohesion cannot be limited to a superficial understanding. There are deeper dimensions to consider, such as mutual respect, listening, and true inclusion. I sincerely thank the team for raising our awareness, particularly about our rights as human beings and the importance of being protected against all forms of discrimination. Today, I learned that no one should be excluded, regardless of their origin, appearance, or condition. We are one humanity, and together, respecting our differences, we must fight for the well-being of the entire community.
As night fell, the discussions gave way to a blossoming of happiness. From now on, the village of Kua is transformed into a space of truth, where promises are not made, but where, together, the foundations of a shared future radiant with hope are built. The sky was a clear blue that morning, cloudless. Mango trees stretched out their leafy arms, shading the residents gathered in front of the people's house in the ECOWAS neighborhood. We are here in the village of Sunangbe in the Maningiri district of Basila commune. In the participatory games proposed by Tostan, everyone interpreted the projected images in their own way, revealing much more than a simple perspective, a religious divide. Unlike in the previous villages, here differences of faith often fueled tensions.
Parlant de la cohésion sociale,
Speaking of social cohesion, overall we can say it's not bad. Because except for the religious issues where we sometimes don't manage to understand each other, there are still some. And here in Sonangno, we have foreigners. We are mixed with people who often come to the village, even to our fields. The big problem we have in social cohesion with them is that we can't get along at all. Because the problem is that at some point, our elders meet without contacting us, which means that sometimes they can't even make decisions, and we will contradict them, which always create problems. If the NGO Tostan can help us, as they came to do, and as this way we will stay together with the elders. In this way the decision taken will not be behind us. This would be the thing that we can nevertheless agree on amicably.
Yet, even amidst the dissonance, seeds of unity sprouted through the discussions. The neighborhood chief, standing before his people, issued a vibrant call for cohesion. Here, the women have carried the local economy forward. They processed gari, cultivated gardens, and supplied the markets. But he also forcefully expressed the burden of deprivation, including electricity, access to health care, and opportunities for their children.
La difficulté qu'on rencontre dans nos économies des travaux.
The difficulties we face in our construction savings is the expense of our children. Because men here, we don't besmirch them. They are not used to helping us wholeheartedly and completely. So that is what creates obstacles. When you start doing something, the beginning goes well, and then halfway through, things start to go wrong. We are part of the rest of the project that Tostan brought us, but through the outreach program and awareness raising and training they will also send us, we know everything will be fine. But they mustn't forget us. We need a lot of reinforcement. A little further on in Kadolasi, in the commune of Uwake, Badojude district, the Tostan model is already reaping its rewards. The village, located in the border with Togo, brings together several tribes, living in a harmony that many communities will envy. Here, women have led the way. They have established a savings group to finance schooling and invested in agricultural seeds, among other things. First, I would like to thank the Departmental Union of Professional Ruminant Breeders Organization, ECOWAS Cooperative, thanks to which Tostan was able to intervene in our village. It was through this cooperative that we women were able to create our group and a savings bank. Today, we save together. We grant each other loans that allow us to meet our needs and strengthen our small businesses. It must be said that before this, many of us considered leaving the village to seek better opportunities elsewhere. But today, with the loans we manage to obtain from our shared fund, we go to the market, we do businesses, and we manage to cover some of our household expenses. This also allows us to keep our children in school. In the past, we had limited means. When you had 2 children, you often had to make difficult choices, send one to school and keep the other at home. Today, thanks to this support, this kind of difficult choice tends to disappear. But the road remained fraught with obstacles. Without a health center, residents sometimes have to cross the border to seek treatment in Togo. The women have translated their hopes into drawings, Images of solidarity, love and knowledge shared like a silent pact.
Ce qui m'intéresse pour le projet,
what interests me about the project is that it's the community itself that will define what it means, in which areas it has expertise, so that we can improve. That's what will enable sustainability, even if, that's what will enable sustainability, even after you are gone. We have already seen some impact through awareness raising. What will also help What will also help is social cohesion. If people come together as a community to do activities, they won't know there is going to be communication. And when there is communication between people, I think they will agree on a number of issues.
As the sun slowly set over the horizon, the last rays of sunlight tinged the tired but smiling faces of the residents. After the villagers and the shared testimonies, it was time to capitalize on the experience. Tostan and the partner organizations trained in its approach met to take stock. Through videos projections, memories overlapped with assessments.
Nous sommes allés pour des visites de terrain.
We went on field visits where we practically implemented what we learned from the Tostan approach. So in terms of implementation, I believe we are, as I often say, a bridge between community and Tostan. We were trained, but in turn, we trained grassroots actors for community well-being and mental health issues.
Pour des questions de santé mentale.
In this desire to share, one player stood out as an essential: community radio. Simple, local, and close to the heart. Participants emphasized the need to strengthen collaboration with these local media outlets.
Ce que nous devons faire, c'est essayer de
What we need to do is try to train this community radio station on the Tostan approach, showing them the goal, objective, and desired outcomes of the project, and then try to identify a certain number of journalists from this community radio stations who might be willing to carry out this activity.
Un certain nombre de journalistes de ces radios communautaires prédisposés donc à mener à bien cette activité.
The Tostan project, supported by GIZ and the ECOWAS Regional Stabilization Fund, not only provided tools, but offered a vision of development and imposes nothing, but supports everything.
On a vu au niveau des communautés, il y a beaucoup d'intérêt d'aborder.
We have seen at the community level that there is a lot of interest in addressing collective issues, and the communities have also shown us that there is a very strong connection between what individuals experience day after day and how the community itself can also achieve its collective vision. So, a very important lesson is that we must start with the personal vision of each individual, community members, to move forward collective visions. And this is something that we also intend to explore together with the communities, to support them in the development of their vision through partners in Benin, and also to support them in the realization of these visions.
À travers les partenaires du Bénin et aussi les accompagner dans la réalisation de ces visions.
In the heart of the Donga, the Collines and the Atakora, a dynamic has been triggered, a renewed dialogue, a coexistence that is not just a mere word, but a daily commitment in the golden light of the end of the day.